Troops, here we are, Easter Monday. I hope you've smashed all the eggs, but it's time to pay the piper. And I've been joined today by a guy who, if you need to pay the piper, he certainly will do. He puts a lot of people through the paces, both mentally and physically. It's Sean from Forces Fitness. Sean, how are you doing, sir?
Yes, not too bad, John. Happy Easter to you and your family, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks very much. I've tried to work out how many calories I've consumed with Easter eggs, and let's just say it's going to be a couple of long runs needed. How's things your end, COVID-19, etc.?
Yeah, I think like Forces Fit from our side is a bit of a difficult, really. It was a bit of an awkward. We went through the sort of shock factor to start with, because being very, very much service-led, outdoor fitness, health and well-being, military-style boot camp weekends. We do a lot of employability boot camps. But it's very much service-led, very much face-to-face. So, and unfortunately, when obviously the banning order was that we couldn't congregate as groups, we sort of gone on hold at the moment. So like a lot of people, as Forces Fitness, that sort of side of the business is pretty much suspended at the moment. I'm keeping in touch with some of my guys on a sort of personal level, some of the clients we've got, and luckily we've got a really good a good client base. So when I knew this was coming, because I knew it was coming, I approached a few people that had things booked in. I said, look, can you do me a favor? Can you pay the invoice up front, and then we'll just port the bookings back to September, October. And to be fair, most of them, because I've been working with them for a number of years, they square that away, which is great, really. And that's about having good, positive relationships with people, I think, in business on a personal level.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like the way you handle COVID-19 as an individual and as a business will definitely benefit you on the other side of this. I feel like there's a lot of people in business and personally making bad choices right now, and when it's all over, 6 months' time, a year's time down the line, I think a few people might have cooked the goose with people. I'm sort of giving a few people bits and pieces of advice about, it's about being a wartime general, and we're at war at the moment, and you've got to make sometimes a hard call and the right call for your business, and not jeopardizing the people who you want to work with in the future. Where did the idea of Forces Fitness come about?
So I served back in 1999 to 2005 as a PTI with One Welsh Guards. So left the military, went into the leisure industry, come out of the leisure industry and worked for BMF actually for a little bit. So I think we all know BMF for a tiny bit. So I worked with them in Cardiff. I moved across to Swansea. There was nothing set up in Swansea. So basically I thought I'd set up some outdoor boot camp first. It was a bit similar to BMF, but as things change and they evolve, and there's not much money in those sort of outdoor boot camps. There's a bit if you're doing it yourself. We had to change things. So we've got much more the sort of residential weekends, the sort of, the employability boot camps, which are sort of funded projects, trying to get people back into work. We do sort of bespoke health and wellbeing workshops and work with hundreds and hundreds of schools, colleges and universities all across Wales and England. So thousands and thousands of pupils. But the idea came about is because I love my fizz. I love the military style ethos of training. And I thought, you know what, we can implement this into Civvy Street, but do it slightly different to others. But it's like everything you learn in business. And if you're a good business person, you will sort of evolve and tweak things to know where you're going to get the sort of best value for money, if that makes sense, and what's going to generate you the most revenue, potentially for the sort of least time, really, if that was making sense as well. Because obviously, as much as I love it, and I do, it doesn't really feel like I'm working. It's one of those jobs that it doesn't feel like I'm working, and I've been in a few since I left the military. But yeah, I really love what I do, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
When you talk about the back to work stuff, have you approached? I don't know if the job centre is the right word now, but have you approached these sort of organisations and said, look, we'll take people who have been out of work for a long time, who maybe is out of routine, lost motivation, and we can help them, get a bit of self-pride back. Is that how you class it?
Perfect. Exactly what you said. We work with the housing associations, with the people that are on benefits, to get them back into work. And we work with the employment sort of training providers as their partner organisation to get them into work. We'll take them away for 4 or 5 days up in the middle of nowhere in sort of bunkhouse style accommodation. There's no internet. It's in the rolling hills. And we will take them through health, well-being, goal setting. We'll take them through accredited qualifications on stuff like CV writing, interview techniques. And by the end of the 4 or 5 days, they'll have their goals set, they'll have their ongoing support, which will have their sort of mentors, which will go along with them afterwards to help them into work, or obviously into further training if they want to get into a different style. Because ultimately what I want to try and say on the courses is, yes, it's great to get a job. You do need a job. So if you want to try and get a job first, but what do you want to do in life? Because if you get into a job that you're enjoying and you're loving, it isn't really like working. And I can safely say that, honestly. And I've had a few tough jobs, which I enjoyed for a bit, chasing money and a lot of money, you know, when I first left the military. But then, you know, I've come back to now maybe not earning as much money, but absolutely loving what I do. And that, to me, is the sort of value of being rich. Is not how much money you've got, it's how much time you can spend with your family, and how much time you can spend at home watching your kids grow up, but also putting that enough money on the plate to pay the bills, if that makes sense.
I think you've hit the nail on the head right there. A lot of people put success down to stuff and shiny items and oh, I earn this much money and I have this sort of car. But realistically, I'd rather be time rich than money rich, and I think that's a great point. That what you're doing with this workshop residential weekend with people who are from the unemployed, that must offer a lot of challenges.
Yeah, it is tough, as you can imagine. You're going to have people that maybe have got sort of just been out of work a long time because they haven't been in work, drug, alcohol problems, mental health problems. Some will come out of the criminal justice system. But I think it's just nice sometimes. I mean, obviously, you speak to the audience you're with, and you can relate to people in different ways. And I've always been an angel when I was younger. I was in the infantry in the guards, so we've all got stories to pull back on. And sometimes you can just be a little bit more open and honest to what your younger life was with people like that, and how it's best to try and turn the corner and set those goals and try and be as positively focused as you can. But also sometimes for some people, I've had guys on there that just said to me at the end of the course, look, thanks for giving me the time of the day. Most people look at me and they think I'm scum, and that's what someone said on the feedback form. And I'm like, look, you give me, anytime you want to drop me a message. It's always an open door. I said, look, anytime you want to drop me a message after this, drop me a message. They've got their support workers who they work with anyway. And, he's into work now, which is great for me. And it's great to see the success story of them either, getting into training or getting back into work, but just giving people the time of the day, because it's what he said there was, it really struck a chord with me. And it was like, what, and we are quick to judge as people.
100%.
Everybody is really at some point. It's trying not to judge people, and that's quite hard in this day and age with social media and people and everything flying around. But
yeah, I think that's a great. I've not heard of anyone else doing that, and I've certainly not seen anything like that up where I live. I think you've absolutely hit the nail on the head there with that, and you must have a lot of great sort of success stories. I'm just wondering, do you approach it like day one, week one, ATR per bright or ITC Catwick? I mean, how does the approach?
It's very chilled. It's like we do military weekends, like proper military weekends where people book on and they get 10 times out of my beautiful body, press a position down, and water bottles if they're not full. We do them. It's not like that, as you can imagine. The people we're dealing with probably wouldn't react too well. It's very much, and the brief will be, because I usually go and speak to them first, so it's going to be relaxed. It's all around team building, but again, implementing, putting that plan in place, just like we did as soon as that COVID-19 thing happened. What happened for me was the plan was in place with the kids, with the training, with what they're going to do in their phys, their learning, their fun, having some fun, having some game time, but still having their weekends off, So similar to that, they have a structured plan built around health, well-being, making healthy choices, some team building activities. We use military style command tasks, which are great to get people working together, talking, and the communication skills, because they're hugely key as well. If these guys have been stuck in a house, some of them, just on their Xbox for months and months, not really integrating apart from online, this might be their first time that they've been out socializing with people for months. So it's really, it's interesting. But for me, the most rewarding thing that I think I've done since I've left the military with regards to forces fitness, it ticks a lot of boxes, and it's really great to see him go to work afterwards.
There's really good points there, and there's one thing I've noticed about society, and I don't know where this has come from, but I feel like the way people handle conflict has changed, and I've seen loads of people putting themselves into really silly positions, and I think it's in this culture that we live in now where they want to go viral and they want to be sort of like a viral success. So I seen a video this weekend of like a woman approaching a gang of teenage lads who were not obeying the rules in place at the moment, and sort of going live. And I thought, where is this come from? Like, you potentially put yourself in a situation there. Like, I think conflict management is something that we used to get taught in the military, rightly or wrongly, and I've had some great teachers in the past. What's your sort of take on it? Because you see all these crazy videos all the time, don't you, where people just, I'll get my phone out and I'll record it and I'll put myself in the position. Do you sort of teach skills like that?
Well, I think Indirectly, really, we talk a lot about online presence. We do talk about that because that's massively key. Bear in mind, we're trying to push down the route of getting people into work and employability, and we're also conscious that your online presence nowadays is massive. It's not like when me and you were younger, and then I remember your basic training. I remember letters coming through the post, and it was only just mobile phones and stuff. But now the online presence, you need to have a pretty clear and clean online presence if you can, especially if you're trying to go into work, because employers could, they shouldn't, but they could look online and search you up, and probably they do. Let's face the facts, they're not supposed to, but they could do. They could just pop you in there if something comes up all of a sudden. So I definitely advise not to do things like that. But again, it's the culture and the system and what we're living in at the moment is that everybody wants to be famous for something. I seen another one the other day of some woman sat on a bench, chopping off to some copper, saying that she was mentally exercising because the rules said I get out to exercise. So I'm sitting here mentally exercising. This is my exercise day mentally. It didn't stimulate. The rules didn't stimulate. It had to be physical exercising. I just thought, why? Why would you want to do that? But unfortunately, it's the sort of world we live in, and social media, as much as it's great for some things, for marketing, pushing things out, it's also great for a lot of idiots sometimes. To be honest, to get silly messages out there and do silly stuff.
I think you're right there, and I agree with you on the side of it of employees. Maybe he's doing a bit of due diligence. I mean, I've done it. If someone sort of sends something into me saying, "Oh, I'd like to work on this event with you," I always sort of check the personal. If it's an open page, I think, well, if it's an open page, it's an open page. And I'm always very keen to see, what type of stuff's going on, because if they're going to be coming in contact with your clientele or your customers, and you haven't vetted them, potentially that can double back on you, can't it? Do you know what I mean? So it's a hard one, but you're right. It's about having a almost like a clean social media presence. But no, it's an interesting. It's that one you brought up with that. I have seen that video, and you're right. People want to be famous, but they ain't got no talent, Sean.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I know.
If your talent is that you want to chop off in front of coppers, then that isn't a talent. That's just you being a bit of a knobber, and that'll never get you. That'll never get you anywhere. So do people sort of use you as a reference, or they've been on this weekend with you and they go for a job interview and then they say, "Oh, can you?" I use you as a reference. Is that how it works?
Yeah, I mean, some of them have put me down as a reference before after they've been on the course, and some of them have put us down to say that they've been on it. I mean, it's a fully accredited course as well, so they get accredited certification out of it. So they can use those certificates, which are not just sort of Mickey Mouse piece of paper. They're fully certified, so fully CBD certified, which is great really for them, because again, that might be their only course that they've done for a long time. But again, from my side, it's just great to see them starting the course on day one. Bit similar to them training really, I suppose. You start off, a young lad not really know what the hell you're doing, and you come out the other side of it, and they got their goals. They're all fired up and they're pumped up. But I was also very cautious not to just sort of let them go then. Because anybody can do a happy clapping course. I could do that with anyone. Like, let's go, get them all G'd up. And then they leave it and they're like, right, what's happening now? But the key with me was having that ongoing support afterwards. That's probably the most important part. Because, we get them, they're so happy. They met these new people. They've got their drive. They've got their goals. They know what they're going to do over their sort of short-term goals and long-term goals. They know that. But after that, it's that little bit of support, because they're still going to need support. They're still going to need people pointing in the right direction, saying, "Oh, look, this has come up here. This job position's here," or or "Why didn't you go for this?" But they're going to need that ongoing, which is in place.
That's how hard was it a process to get the course accredited? Was that a difficult thing to do?
You know what? It wasn't that bad, because if you work with. I work with people, in partnership with people. I don't do it all myself. I'm not like, I don't know everything myself. When I first started these courses, to be honest with you, was I probably massively the best at CV writing, interview techniques? Probably not, even though I've been a high-level manager in places. So I brought in a fully accredited trainer to run that sort of the side, which accredited for me. Paid them the money, they looked after that. I looked after the fun bit, which I love, which is the health, the fitness, boxing drills, the team building, the team activities, the walking like yourself, getting on the hills,
awesome.
Going for a nice walk. And as well as I do out on the hills when they're up there, they open up massively, because when you're out, you're away from all the pressures. They've been taken away from maybe the drugs or the drink, or just taken away from their isolation at home. They're actually outdoors and they're loving it. It's back to them being a kid again. They're out in the green, opening up, talking about their issues, talking about what they want to do.
I know sort of GPs in Scotland have started to issue the outdoors as a prescription as such, and I know that has been a success, and I would like to see NHS England and obviously Wales for yourself to do the same, because it does massively help, and I feel like it helps because we came from that environment. Do you know what I mean? Long before we sat in houses and long before we had social media, we used to roam the countryside and the mountains, and we were always at home there. So I sort of feel like there's a muscle memory somewhere deep down inside, and once we get back into that environment, we're like, yeah, I remember this. This is cool, and you're lucky you have got the Brecon Beacons, which is a stunning part. Oh, well, I want to say all the time, but if you've ever been in bad weather, you might you might have a difference of opinion depending on how robust you are. What other sort of things do you do? A lot of corporate stuff for businesses?
We do a bit of corporate stuff. So we do a bit of corporate stuff for businesses, schools, colleges, and unis. We do loads and loads of work with them. So
wow,
we developed a health and wellbeing sort of health and wellbeing program, sort of workshop, where we go into schools, talk about sort of tips around health and well-being, but again, build it around the military style ethos, command tasks and fitness challenges. They go head to head against each other, finish off with maybe some tug of war. So it's very much around team building, competitiveness, but also learning as well, and cementing that learning through group questions. They'll be like nominated captains, so they have to confer and talk, and and they're going against each other. We all like a bit of competitiveness. We all do. We're competitive in whatever we all are. Some people might say they're not, but they are, because they'll be going for a job. You want to get that job. We've got a slight bit of competitiveness in us, whether it's siblings or against other people or life generally. And I think that's a good thing, though. I think that's a good thing, because we want to do better. We want to do best as we can. So I try and implement that when I can in the health and wellbeing workshops. They go down the treat.
Yeah, I bet they do. I mean, I don't know where this third, fourth place trophy culture came from, but you're right. Competition brings out the very best and makes you push 5-10% more. And it's something I would like to sort of to see us move back to. That just taking part. It's great to take part, yes, but you should always be trying to better yourself in some way. And I think we've gone away from that, haven't we, as a society? And obviously, me and you being from a military background, everything was a competition. Everything was right. Who's the best? Into for me, it was into battery competitions. For you, into company regimental against other artillery regiments. You against other infanteers. Even on your PTI's course, that would have been a top student sort of. Leadership cadres, it was the same thing. Now it's an interesting point of view, and it sounds like you've had a good diverse way of opening up these sort of military skills. Do you find they welcome you in these universities with your military background? Are they really welcoming to you?
Yeah, I think, and again, it's striking up relationships for me, John. I mean, I the company, to be fair, the company's been operating since 2008 now, so it's been operating a long, long time.
Yeah.
So 12 years the company's been rolling for, even though I was working maybe from 2008 to 2010 as well, if that makes sense. So I made the jump maybe 2018 fully self-employed. But no, they do, and I've had that time to build up those relationships over the years. I've got some great contacts, and they do like the military style training. They do like the military style ethos, and I've been brought into some of the more difficult schools. Sometimes I work quite closely with some of the sort of PRU units. I work with them, so the people the kids who've been excluded from school. That's quite interesting, and I work a lot with the ones on the one stage before they're due to get excluded. So that's quite interesting. But again, you develop and deliver to the people that's in front of you, don't you? Does that make sense? I deliver someone to a managing director very different to someone that was sort of in that stage.
Definitely.
You've got to gain that rapport with people as a good trainer. You have to gain that rapport with people, and that probably is one of the crucial things. We couldn't deliver the same to every group, and you sort of get a gauge of that before you go. Like you said, do your research. Who am I delivering to? What's the main topics you need to come across? Is there any issues within the group, or what do you want to achieve? And again, it's all about the plans, isn't it? It's all about those P's that we learned.
the good P's. How hard was it? A lot of people do this. A lot of people start a small business and still work a conventional job. How hard was that process for the 2-year period? And when was the moment you thought it's now?
It's a bit of an interesting one, really. So it's brutal for me. So I left the military, went into leisure management, thought I had a decent job, which was good. You know, went from that then to another leisure manager job. Opened up, like, you've got Devere Venues, the village hotels up by you. It's one of those. So it's a decent leisure facility. So I was running that after 2 years. Then I went across to Lidl's purely for money. Purely money.
Wow.
So I went from 25, 30 grand a year, was earning 50 odd grand a year with Lidl, brand new Audi, fully expensed. So
wow.
So I thought, right, that's great. But also running the company. So bear in mind, I'm running the company at the same time. I'm working, say, 50 odd hours a week per Lidl. It was hard graft. You know, if I've ever been at Lidl, it's 1,000 miles an hour. Old grannies getting buried underneath shopping because they're scanning so fast. And I did enjoy it. But it's like everything. After a while, it becomes a little bit, and something always played on my mind. I mean, when I done my junior NCO card with Household Division, Para Regiment, centralised courses, I come off with a distinction as top student. And the Guards Para commanding officer there pulled me in and said, look, would you want to do selection? I think at the moment of time, I stood there. I said, "Oh, I'll have a think about it, sir." You know, I sort of marched out. I think I sparked up a fag, and I was like thinking, "You're absolutely crazy. There's no way I'm gonna go for the selection. You're mad." I was too interested in women and drinking and the usual squaddy stuff when you were younger. But it played on my mind, so I thought, look, do you know what? I wondered if I could do it. So at 36 years of age, I signed up to go for 2-1 basically.
Right.
For the people who know what that is, that's 2-1 SAS is a reserve. So you can do that as a reserve soldier, or you can actually do it as a straight civvy. You have to go through some training again, but I was technically a straight civvy because I'd been out for so long. It was literally 10 years before that I left the military. So I went through the selection. It was a tough old course. It was a grizzy course. It was like 200 men started the course. First part of the course up in Brecon, loads of snow as per. It was a winter course. Got out in the last week. It was what's called test week, and my shins are starting to hurt a little bit. And I thought, all right, come on, just get through. Taking loads of cocodamol, taking loads of Brufen, just smashing it down my chops. Got through it. Got the last day. Like, I remember phoning my wife and saying, look, last day, if I get the last day, I remember going to the course, I'll grizz through the last day. Not a drama. I've done all this training and getting through, but my shins were in absolute agony. They were in clip, and I thought, right, come on now. So we done 35K, I think it was exercise ricochet in the morning. 6-7 hours downtime. You go back out for exercise endurance, which is 65K. Under 21 hours is the aim to do it in. So I got 20K into it. I had 12 cocodamol and 12 ibuprofen, and I was literally almost sweating. I could feel my eyes. I was swaying a little bit. They do advise you not to take cocoa and ibuprofen as well, right? But I just thought, get it. I needed the painkillers. I couldn't do it. So I got 20K into it, and I just come into the checkpoint. I was just literally pulled off my boot. I was in absolute agony. I had a stress fracture on my tibia. I got pulled off on a medical withdrawal, but I was 40K from the end of passing it. And in my head, I thought, do you know what? I was sat under the wagon on the way back home with a few of the boys who passed it who come in. So they come in the night, same billet, and there was a couple of boys come off. And I was just thinking, oh, hell, you know what? But I give it my all. And I thought I wanted to lead my life with sort of no regrets. We do fail things. Failure massively happens in life. It does. Failure happens in life. And I thought, right, I just wanted to give it a go, lead my life with no regrets. And at that point, I thought, this is a big lifestyle change for me now. Going back into Lidl's. So mind you, at the moment in time, I was running a company, doing Lidl's and doing selection. So I was 1,000 miles. You know that. I'm like, yourself, bunny mine. But I thought, look, something needs to change. And I think I walked into work and someone was sick and my boss walked in and I was just like, it's not for me anymore. Yeah. She's like, what? I said, it's not for me. I said, look, I quit. I'll give my notice in. She's like, you serious? I said, yeah, I just want to go do my own things. And from that point, I literally just concentrated on Forces Fitness, really pushed that, but it gave me more time to set up things like the Veterans Awards as well, which is great.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot to get through there, but I heard it on another podcast. Failure creates success, and if you'd have been successful, you might not have gone full on Forces Fitness, and then you might not have set up the Veteran Awards, and then you might not have. Do you know what I mean? And you might not have met Scott Johnson, and you might not have become involved with Veteran UK, and we're not having this conversation. And it's like everything happens for a reason, and and I'm saying the same about COVID. Like, it's hard to look at it now and think, God, there's going to be loads of opportunities come from this, but you should always be thinking like long term. What's short term? All right, end of the week. Long term, a year's time down the line. And that'll move us on to the Veteran Awards. You do an unbelievable job with the Veteran Awards. And are you surprised, shocked? What emotions do you feel when you see it where it's at now from probably where you started it.
I'm so pleased how it's gone, but you know what? I'm not surprised. I mean, initially when I set it up originally, because there's so many great award ceremonies out there. They're mainly British, mainly Central London, to be honest with you. And I thought to myself, I sat in one award ceremony. It was for Forces Fitness, and I sat there. And I thought, you know, why haven't we got an awards? And why isn't there a Welsh Veterans Awards? Why isn't there an English Veterans Award? Why isn't there a Scot? Why haven't we got our own, you know, sort of regional, you know,
100%.
Veterans Awards? Why haven't we? You know, they could feed into the big awards. And my thought process was they work sort of hand in hand in sync, and people maybe can't afford to go all the way to Central London and buy a ticket, which costs a bit more money, or you know, live it, you know, get a hotel in Central London. But I'm just really pleased from the support that we've had. And you mentioned a couple of people there. You know, the people that really helped and supported. You know, Scott Johnson, great guy, Veteran Own UK. There's so many other veteran support groups out there at the moment. And for Wales, I think it's been crying out for it. It's been massively supported straight away in Wales. And Home Nation, it was a bit easier for me because I had a few more contacts, you know, to launch here. But all of them, not just Wales. I mean, it was great to see how England went. Great to see how Scotland was on the verge of happening on April the 1st, but we had to push it back. Everybody was understandable with that, so we pushed that back to September. But it's just nice to celebrate the success from within our industry. And I think the reason there's been so much more buy-in as well is because it's done for the right reasons. We're a fully not-for-profit company. It's not commercial. All our board of directors that sit on there not pulling salaries. They're doing it in their voluntary time to help and support us. And we've got some great board of directors, some great sponsors, and you know we're very thankful for things like that, because we probably wouldn't be able to do it if it weren't for people who want to get involved. But thankfully, it's one of the things that is a real positive event, and people want to get involved with it.
I don't want to sort of put you on the spot here, but what? Maybe I know them from the Veteran Own UK page, but don't know where they're from. Who's sort of doing really well from the Wales point of view, veteran owned companies, or anyone who sort of stands out, who's coming on strong?
There's a few different veteran owned companies out there that are doing pretty good. You know, Forces Fitness, they're doing pretty good.
Yes.
There's some really great veteran companies out there. So you've got some great not-for-profits. So you look at sort of the likes of Barry John runs VC Art Gallery. He does a lot of outreach with art and health and well-being in the community. He's got about 5 or 6 art galleries down in West Wales. They're doing some great stuff. There's another veteran-owned business called Pinnacle Office Solutions. They do a lot of like faxing, Xerox, scanners, all the sort of office solution side of it. They're doing some great stuff. We've got some great fizz companies out here at the moment. I mean, obviously, I'm quite into that sort of side. And you know, there's some great ones in Swansea. So there's SoFit, there's an ICAM Fitness has just opened up, and you tend to find that there's a lot of military in the sort of the fitness sector. I've come across that, which is great, because we've got some great skills and learned some brilliant stuff. But I mean, the idea for the awards from me, it's not just to be an award ceremony either. A lot of people think, oh, it's the award ceremony. From my side, it's about the whole package. Is about us completely supporting any veteran business, but similar to Scott, or company or person that's doing good things. So Scott's very much veteran-owned business, spouses businesses, but I see us working alongside each other to help just promote the positives from all our community. So if Scott can't pick something up because it's not a business, but you've got a great story to tell, come and tell the Veterans Awards. We'll tell you your story and promote you, your business, your brand, your company for free, really, basically, if that makes sense. So
that's class. When do you run them every year?
Yeah, so every year. So last year we had England and Wales. This year we've got England, Wales, Scotland. There's a Northern Irish one, and then hopefully Canada. Then it'll be out in 2020. So 2021. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. No, you. And how do you what sort of categories are involved?
There's a number of categories, and it's very much all-encompassing. It's not just business. So we've got sort of veteran-owned businesses. There's a Leavers to Leaders Award, which is Samuel T. Reddy's a great guy, #1 best-selling author. But he's picked up one of the awards. He won an award at England last year, so he's now sponsoring the award. But if you win the Leavers to Leaders Award, then you go on his sort of global conference then with him. So you'll have a sort of package. You'll come away and you'll have some sort of bit of CPD from it, basically, which is, I'm pretty much certain that's accredited as well from the University of Southampton, or some units are. So again, it's sort of furthering sort of your leadership skills by building with partners. And again, I found out doing that through Forces Fitness, but also the Veterans Awards, doing things right, building partnerships, doing things well, good things happen. You know, and generally, if you're a decent person, John, I know this sounds crazy. It's an age-old saying, isn't it? If you're a good person, people are going to like you. Be a good boy, like your mum used to say.
So, you're 100% right. And your name pops up in conversations when you're not there, and it's how you've conducted yourself. And because people have mentioned me before someone's name, and I'll be like, oh yeah, top guy. Do you know what I mean? Top woman, yeah, smashing it. Nothing but good words. And did you go to the Facebook Boost event last year?
No, because that Facebook Boost event was on, I think it was either the English Veterans Awards or the Welsh Veterans Awards, same day.
Right.
It was exactly the same day, because I know Scott was down there, and Scott couldn't come to my awards because he was obviously going to that as well. Because, you know, to be fair, he supports me and promotes me, and, you know, and helps, just as I would with him. And I think that's what we've got to do. I think we've got to promote and support everybody.
I mean, there's a great reason why just being a part of these things is so important, because from a personal note, I made so many new contacts and friends by going to that Facebook Boost event. And then people, yes, they might know the logo and they might know the brand and they might know, I've seen your stuff on social media, but when they meet the person, they can relate, can't they? And I think like that's in itself is why you should put yourself out, you know what I mean? And that's why you go into sort of an award ceremony, regardless if you're going to win anything, just going along and being a part of it, because you never know what's going to come. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could make a great connection. I think a lot of people think short term. Is there anyone who's sort of been your mentor? Is there anyone you sort of look up to, or anyone who you think, wow, yeah, if it wasn't for them, I maybe wouldn't be so far along?
It's a bit of an awkward one, really. It's a bit of put me on the spot there, John. I mean, listen,
Sorry.
I got people who I sort of, you know, I look up to from sort of, like, for instance, like Joe Calzaghe for me in boxing was someone who I would look up to as sort of an inspiration for me. Political, maybe if you look at Sir Winston Churchill and what he done, I think was a big political leader I would sort of look at that. And then you've got people, you know, I'm a Liverpool fan, sort of Steven Gerrard is someone who I would look up to. I mean, I bounce ideas off people, don't get me wrong, I do that, and I've got to do that, and that's why I brought on a really tight board of directors. So like Scott now sits on our board of directors, Scott Johnson. We've got Bev Garside, who works in the charity sector, so I bounce ideas off them. Paul, he sits on my board, and then a good friend of mine, you'll probably develop, Mike Punter. But again, those sort of people who I've surrounded myself with are the people who I trust, who I sort of would always ask questions. Another good guy, Pete Davis, AVF Soldiers Charity Wales regional director. He's become a really good friend over the last 3 to 4 years as well.
There's a bit of a saying, if you're the smartest man in the room, you need to move to a new room. And it sounds like you've got a room full of absolute killers, as I would say. No, it's good to surround yourself, isn't it, with positive people doing a lot of good stuff. Because I find like some people, they want to be the kingpin. They want to sit at the very top and feel like I am the pinnacle. But for me, I'm always thinking I need to move to a new room. Do you know what I mean? I need to get into a new room, because that's where growth comes from. And there's a lot of people who, you know, I don't know where we got bogged down in sort of likes, follows, all of that stuff. But for me, that doesn't signal success. Do you agree with that?
I completely agree. I think surround yourself with positive, like-minded people is one of the tips when I speak at schools and unis, or if I speak at a Cobra event. That is massively key. Surround yourself with people who are going to support you. Connect with those positive sort of like-minded people. That's massively key. And again, if you can, I mean, it's all about the brand, really. From my side, if we can build a good, strong, decent brand that's doing well, rather than the person. Does that make sense? I mean, you've got different profiles. As a person, you want to be a nice guy because people you associate with your brand anyway. That's going to happen. That is. 100%. So you try and associate and network with people who are good and positive and like-minded, because again, that adds value to your brand. But you know, you want to help and support their brand as well. I see it's a journey, isn't it? And I think life is a journey. It's about how many people you can sort of take with you along that journey and try and help and support them is crucially key, because I think that's key, especially in times like this. You know, we can always give something back, and that's another point, really, that we can always help people. I've been trying to help people just by giving them goals and focusing. We set up a new Strava group for my local community where we're challenging each other on, and you know, I'm doing that. I'm giving them some exercise programs on the group. I'm giving them health and well-being tips on the group, because that's my speciality, is sort of that side of it. You know, we've all got different specialities and sort of areas of experience. But ultimately, even if you haven't, you can get involved helping and supporting, can't you? There's so many opportunities to do that, especially current climate.
And I feel like as well, you should always look to people who are doing sort of maybe in your field or doing slightly better or working at a slightly higher standard. And I'll use this as an example. So like this podcast at the beginning, I was like, oh yeah, I'm happy with it. And then I started listening to like the HR podcast, and I was like, it's another level. Do you know what I'm saying? Like Hugh's doing such a great job. The delivery, the guests that he's had on. I mean, he had Nigel Farage on the other day. I mean, regardless of what you think of Nigel Farage, to land a guest of that stature, there's a lot of work goes into that. Do you know what I mean? And that shows the effort that's been put in there. So it makes me go, right, I need to up the game again. I need to go again. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes you can just settle, can't you, on the pond and just think, well, I'm happy in my little lane. But if you want to really go, then you must, if Joe Rogan is the pinnacle of podcasts, then, you need to climb that ladder. And by only consuming your own stuff, you'll never do that. And I think it's great. I watch a lot of like your stuff and others from that LinkedIn group that we're a part of. And I always think, yeah, got to go again. And it's great to be a part of that. He's one of your boys, isn't he? HR Hugh, he's from down your way. Is he from Cardiff? I think I've heard him say.
I'm not sure. I don't know actually. Yeah. Anyway, you've got me on that one. I'll research that one, John.
Yeah, Hugh from the HR podcast. I'm sure I heard he's from Cardiff. I could be wrong.
Too far? Yeah, it's not too far away. That ain't either, John. Yeah, 15-20 minutes down the road, buddy.
Yeah. Do you listen to any of the podcasts? Any audiobooks? What do you do to sort of take time for yourself?
I'm probably, which is a bit weird. I mean, I'm all for learning, all for CPD. So I tend to not read. I know that sounds mad. I know people like, well, you don't read. And but what I do is I do spend a lot of time on my phone, sort of reading and researching other things. That might sound really weird. I don't read books. But again, there's a flip side of that. Spending too much time on my phone probably isn't the greatest thing. But I'm not much of a book reader. The problem is I find again is that I don't switch off that much. And my problem, if I could learn to, one of my issues that I've got probably is that I'm always thinking about things and always thinking about new things or always thinking about new developments. So for me to sit down and read a book, I probably get about 2 paragraphs to it and something will pop in my head and I'll be like, right, it's a great idea. And I'll be, because I should learn to switch off more. If one thing COVID has actually done though, has made me switch off a little bit more. Even though I'm focused, I've got my routine, I don't have to worry too much about the business because I'm not out every other day. I'm not doing this or that. I don't have to, because I know I've got my plan is, and I know where I'm going to be. And I know in my head, we're coming out the arse end of this around about August, September. That's why I pushed everything back to, to get a bit more booking time. So up until that point, I'm not out on the ground. So, yeah.
Fair play. Sean, we're flying through it, and I really appreciate your time with it being Easter Monday. So we're going to sort of bring in the close now, really, and it's the way I like to end the show, the 5 whats. COVID has forced a lot of people to change routine, and we talked at the start about routine. So the first one, what does your day look like?
So yeah, they pretty structured really. You're probably going to gather that from the conversation we've just had. We get up, and the kids are in it with me. So we get up in the morning, obviously, bread, make your bed, get your breakfast, get washed, dressed. The girls brush their hair, get downstairs. We then go through the structure of the day, which is, so first of all, schoolwork for them. They do their schoolwork. Then they do their online hub is when I do my CBD hub. Then I do a little bit of training. We get them in the gym, do a little bit of fizz.
Nice.
We do a fizz session, we go out for our little walk, we come back, we play some team games, and then we'll either watch a film or we'll do something fun because we want to have some fun as well. But they have the weekends off, but very, very, very structured for them. I've got my own little sort of goals when I first wake up, as in, look, make sure I put my posts on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram for the 3 platforms that I've got, because Veterans Awards me and also Forces Fitness. So I try and pump that up just so we see prevalent really and keeping people ticking over and trying to engage with everyone. But yeah, try and keep structure. Structure is hugely key for me. Yeah,
imagine it is. What workouts are you doing? Anything in particular?
Yeah, so goals. So my goals. So short-term goal when I first kicked off was to sort of get my sort of 2-3K pace around about a sort of 350. Nice. 350 a K. So I've done that now. I'm up to my 3.5K, but the end goal is to run my 5K sub 20 again. but also pushing the heavy weights. I don't want to lose my strength. So I'm lucky I got a home gym. Thankfully, I invested in that. So there's some 50 kilo dumbbells. So I'll I'm getting up to them. I'm pressing them once or twice. I want to get a good set of 10 on the 50 kilos and a good set of 10 on the 40 kilos overhead shoulder press. So keeping my strength, but keeping my running fizz up as well. Really, I want to be a bit of an all-rounder. I'm not going to be a racing snake running sort of like.
Well, I mean, sub 20 is a flying time. I mean, that's a good time, definitely. You'd finish sort of park run, you'd be definitely within the sort of top 40, 30, I'd have thought, with that sort of time. I see some crazy park run times. Like, there's a guy, ex-soldier guy around here, he runs like park run in like 15 and a half minutes. I'm crazy. Like, Jesus Christ, 15 and a half minutes. just absolutely flying. It's a crazy one. What have you started? Have you started anything new? Yoga, Pilates, anything?
Well, I started. I done my. Do you remember the old thing? I started then about 4 times. Do CTTLS. So do you know the certificate in adult education?
Right.
So I've started that. I've literally coming up. It's almost to the end of it now, though, because again, I've sort of just bashed it out. If that makes sense.
Nice.
I've got a bit more time in the evenings.
Yeah.
Rather than sit and watch something else, I'll pump it out. So I come into the end of that. So the idea and thought process was, things don't pick up so quickly. Hopefully it will. I'm very positive, but there's a bit of a plan that if need be, I'll pick up some sort of lecturing slots in colleges or unis or whatever they may need me somewhere, because I've been asked to do that before, but I just have been too busy, if that makes sense, with what I'm doing. But it's just, but if not, then it's a bit of CPD and it's another thing for the CV if ever I need it.
Fair play, man. That's great. What have you stopped? Anything?
What have we stopped watching the news, really? Watching the news. It's a bit depressing. So I stopped watching the news. Yeah, I know that might sound mad. It's just, there's never anything from my side. It just seems to be the most depressing thing in the world. The outlook is always bleak. It doesn't seem, it might be the way the situation is, but you know what? For my own head, I just don't bother watching the news anymore.
The news is the pits. I don't consume any news from any organisation. If I need to find out what's going on in regards to COVID-19, I'll go on to like the number 10 official page, and that's where I get it from. Because the problem is all these corporations have all got a dog in the fight, and depending on what side they're on, it depends on what side the dog wants to fight from. And that just, there's been sort of, I've seen a real ugly side from people. And I'll use Boris as an example. Again, what you think of the man, what you don't think of the man, if you voted Tory, if you didn't. If you are wishing that someone dies because they think in a different way than you, then that is a very, very dark and dangerous road to be in. And we've been down that road before, and it's never ended well for any side. So, again, I'm the same. I'm the same as you. I think that's a great thing to stop consuming media. And Karen from Facebook, will you jack it in? Because we're sick of seeing your posts. You big expert. Last one, Sean. What's the first thing you're going to do after lockdown's lifted?
I think, do you know what? I'm going to take the kids up Brecon Beacons. I think I'm going to take them for a nice walk up there. So it's a great, Pen y Fan's a great one. It's a bit of an iconic hill in sunny South Wales, and for anyone that served in the military, everyone knows the Brecon Beacons. But fingers crossed, the weather's still good, which hopefully it should be. It's not going to drag on too long, and I can take the family up there and go for a nice walk up. Yeah,
do you instill an enforced march? Sort of kit wear the kit in the car park.
Beast him up there, though. Yeah, double time.
Threatening the jack wagon if they fall too far behind. I can see it now, man. It must be nightmare. Look, Sean, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. Where can people find you on social media, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to link in with me on LinkedIn, I mean, if there's business professionals out there, definitely please do. So it's Sean, SEAN, and then Malino, MOLINO. The business page is Forces Fitness, www.forcesfitness.co.uk. So anything health, well-being, fitness, motivation, feel free to get in touch. And then obviously, lastly, Veterans Awards, which is the great one for me is, if you do know a veteran that's doing some good stuff, try and put them forward. It doesn't have to come from them. But if your business is doing some good stuff, it obviously warrants you potentially maybe putting your business forward. We had 70% of applications from Scotland come from third parties, other people putting other people, which is, for me, that was amazing. That was a massive positive, that 70% of people have gone out their way to put other military veterans forward that are doing good things within their community, business, or the sort of charity in the fitness sector. So, you know, www.veteransawards.co.uk for that one, guys. It's been a pleasure, John. Thanks for having me, mate.
Yeah, Sean, no, fantastic. You've got a great positive outlook on life, and you approach it in a way pretty much all motivated veterans do. It's attack and lead by the front, and Ron Stillman do exactly what it says on the tin, and all that really good old militaristic language that we all love to use. Ladies and gentlemen, that's been Sean from Forces Fitness. Make sure you check him out. If you're down that way, who knows? You could end up on a course. You could end up on, sorry, my tongue has come out my mouth. You could end up on the hills with him, having a great adventure. That's the end of the Eagle podcast. The COVID-19 Eagle podcast special is going to keep on coming. It's important to stay motivated, and it's important to stay switched on. Until the next one, see you later. Cheers, Sean.
Cheers, Sean. Take it easy.
Cheers.